U.S. lawmakers are expressing outrage at Russia's decision to invade Ukraine. Let's bring in Texas Republican Congressman Michael McCaul now. He is the ranking member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and co-chair of Congressional Cybersecurity Caucus. Congressman McCaul, welcome. Thank you for being with us. So what is the latest information you can share with us on this escalating crisis in eastern Ukraine?
Well, you know, we war gamed this out previously. This is the worst case scenario of all the options Putin had to bring all three of his deployments to converge together to put a noose around Ukraine and go into the capital city of Kyiv, not to mention as far west as Odessa, port in Moldova. So it looks like he's going for the entire country. And again, the worst case scenario, he has a lot of blood on his hands. To put it in perspective, this would be the largest invasion in Europe since World War II when Hitler invaded Poland. And there are a lot of similarities to what's happening today. He needs to pay a high price. I'm glad the administration wants to bring sanctions, but Congress will be working to provide additional sanctions to make sure that he never gets away with this.
So let me ask you, we were speaking earlier to Brigadier General Zwack, and I asked him about the possibility of any sort of air cover for Ukraine. We understand that President Biden does not want to send U.S. troops into Ukraine. But is there any possibility of a sort of military action that doesn't involve putting American troops, at great danger that could help the Ukrainians fight a ground war?
Well, we will be providing, and we have, and I signed off on it, weapons sales to the Ukrainians to provide self-defense. And that would be ammunition, sniper rifles, javelins, and stingers, which they're actually using right now to shoot down Russian helicopters. I would hope we'll have another package of that assistance in the near future. As you know, they're not a NATO country, and Article 5 does not apply. Therefore, you will not see U.S. presence or troops on the ground, but we need to fortify the surrounding eastern flank NATO countries to make sure that Putin does not invade them as well, right, because he wants his whole empire back.
So true. So, Congressman, at this point, is it too late for diplomacy? Can diplomacy achieve anything?
I believe we've crossed, Putin's crossed Rubicon. We can't turn back. We're in a post-invasion world, and quite frankly, the worst scenario that we envisioned is happening right now. And at this point, it's about really about America coming together, NATO coming together, and the G7 to isolate him as an international pariah that he is, and a murderer and a thug, and make him pay the highest economic price that we can possibly put on them.
Let me ask you about some of these economic sanctions. I understand that banks will be targeted and multiple other sort of government funding tools. But what about going after some of the oligarchs themselves? I mean, some of these Russians who have sort of, they're all around the world. They have fortunes hidden all around the world. It would take a coordinated sort of global effort to root some of them out, or to make them, feel some of the economic pain that I think the president is hoping to inflict on Russia. Is that something that Congress is looking to do as well?
Yeah, 100%. We actually had a package I thought we were going to get done prior to the invasion. It was bipartisan. But I think now in the post-invasion world, things are very different now. And I do think targeting the oligarchs, especially ones responsible, is a very wise move. It will hurt Putin himself if his oligarchs are unhappy. And the banks that are tied to the defense industrial base need to be sanctioned. Nord Stream 2 needs to be put to an end. That would hurt Putin. And then finally, export controls, things like semiconductor chips, anything that has an American stamp on it, we can prohibit that from being exported into Russia. That would really hurt them a great deal. And I think we need to use every lever of power that we have. And
so this is coming swiftly?
Swiftly. In fact, after the president's speech, I'll be meeting with our colleagues across the aisle to talk about a sanctions package and an assistance package to Ukraine.
All right, Congressman Michael McCaul, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.